The property was first on the market for 10 million rand, but we were able to buy it for 5 million. This building is mostly commercial space. You work on the net operating income and the cap rate model. So what our exit strategy would be, should we not be able to fill this with commercial tenants, is to change this into a residential space. On an average month, this building generates 200,000 rand. With this building, we didn't actually buy the property because buying the property would incur transfer duties.
Where do I begin? This building behind me was a journey of a deal to close. In fact, this is a property that we have been working on for over 2 years. When we first came across this deal, it was mid-2022. And the asking price at that stage was 10 million rand. After over 8 months of negotiating with the seller and trying to get the right price, we eventually got her to agree to our terms and conditions. But there was a snag in the works. This property is owned by 4 individuals, and one of those individuals passed away during the negotiation period, which meant that we now were working with a deceased estate. Now, a deceased estate is a mission to work with because depending on your executor, it could take months for them to wind up the estate, meaning this transfer was delayed and delayed and delayed. Now, the executor didn't just delay the transfer, they cancelled it. They said that the offer was too low and they weren't going to proceed. And because you need all 4 shareholders to buy into the sale, the deal fell dead. Now, unfortunately, I didn't know that that was going to happen. And when I went with my video team to go and do the video shoot, we assumed the deal was done and dusted. But in fact, it wasn't. So I've had this video sitting idly on my desktop with nowhere to go until now. You see, the great thing is that 4 months ago, the seller came back to us because the estate had been wound up and they were able to agree on a price. Now, the price was slightly higher than what we originally went in with. And you'll see that in the video that I talk about us getting a 5 million rand offer across the line plus 1 million rand of debt. So a total buy-in of 6 million. But in order to get the executor of the deceased estate across the line, we needed to add 1 million rand to the purchase price. So our effective purchase price was 1 million more than what I state in the video, meaning it's 7 million. Now, I'm sorry that in the video I talk about 6 million when in fact it's actually 7 million, but I shot this video during a time when I thought the deal was done and dusted, and it doesn't make sense for me to go and reshoot the video now just because of the small change. But what I will do is I'll show you what the numbers look like today using the updated numbers through my app.property. This is an amazing investment. I'm so excited to finally be venturing into commercial, and I think that this is going to be the best performing asset. So let's go and have a look at the video that I recorded 12 months ago when I thought the deal was still at 6 million, and then we'll end with me running the numbers on what the current state is.
Today's an exciting day. We're going to do another case study, but it's got a slight twist. If you've watched some of my previous stuff, you know I love to do case studies of my residential deals that I've recently done. Today we're doing a deal, but it's not just residential, it's mixed use, it's got commercial, it's got retail. We've branched into a new strategy. So we're driving here through Alberton. Alberton is in the East Rand of Johannesburg. It's in the south part of the East Rand. It is considered to be a low to middle income area, which is great for us because low income areas tend to have better rental yields and you're able to get cash flow from day one. So here we are on Charles Cilliers Avenue. It is one of the main roads in Alberton, and this is where our deal is located. This is the building, so let's go and have a look. Welcome to Milanshof. That is what this building is called. It was built in the 70s. It consists of 5 floors. So the ground floor is all retail. There's 3 retail shops. Then you have 3 floors of office space or commercial space. And then at the top, we've got residential apartments. So this building is off the grid. We've got solar panels on the roof and we've got diesel generators. That is a great value proposition, especially for attracting tenants during our load shedding crisis. The property was first on the market for 10 million rand, but we were able to buy it for 5 million plus 1 million rand of debt for the solar panels. That is a massive, massive discount and a massive cha-ching. The reason we were able to get such a great offer across the line is because of the motivation of the seller. Her motivation was twofold. Number one, she's an old lady who wants to retire. She's had this building and successfully run it for many, many years, but now she wants to slow her lifestyle down. The second reason is due to the COVID pandemic. Now, the COVID pandemic greatly reduced the demand for commercial office space. thousands of office parks around South Africa were empty because people were working from home. Now, when you are evaluating a commercial office space, you work on the net operating income and the cap rate model. So if you have a situation like we did with COVID, where the net operating income was greatly reduced because there were just not that many tenants, we were able to justify a much lower offer price. We've now taken ownership. The building is 85% full, and based on our current net operating income, the building's valuation is back to 10 million, which basically means that we have got 4 million Rand of equity in this building from day one. On an average month, this building generates 200,000 Rand in monthly rental income. On a 6 million Rand purchase price, that gives us a gross yield of 40%. This property was financed with private finance. I've got 5 partners in this deal, all contributing different amounts of capital, and depending on how much capital they've contributed, they have a share in the company. With this building, we didn't actually buy the property because buying the property would incur transfer duties, which on a purchase price of this size would be around 450,000 Rand. Instead, we bought the shares of the holding company that owns this property, meaning that the transfer was instant. We didn't have to wait for a transfer period, and we have no transfer duties payable. So that's an intro to this deal. Let's go and have a look inside. So on the ground floor, we've got the retail sector. We've got a printing shop, we've got a coffee shop, and we've got an MMA gym. Let's go and have a look inside the coffee shop. This is where tenants of the building, commercial tenants of the building, can bring their clients to have coffees, to have meetings. There's also a really nice boardroom inside here, which can be booked by any of the tenants and used. We've got a few attorneys that have office spaces inside here, and instead of having a potential client meet them in their small office, they can come here and they can have a boardroom meeting, which hopefully makes them successful, helps them with their business, because we want our tenants to be successful, because good tenants with good businesses will be tenants that pay their rates on time. Our other retail client is an MMA gym. They've been here for over 8 years. It's an evening gym, that's why it's closed, but we'll go inside and see what it looks like. They're a really good tenant. They're established in this market, and they're able to attract a lot of clientele. This building is mostly commercial space. There are 4.5 floors of commercial tenants, some of them listed behind me. Let's go upstairs and go and have a look at one of the empty office space units. So we're here at one of the vacant commercial spaces, which is 125 square meters. Now, commercial does have its risks. We saw with COVID the steep decline in demand. So what our exit strategy would be, should we not be able to fill this with commercial tenants, is to change this into a residential space. It's already structured in a way that it could be changed into residential quite easily. But let's go and have a look. So as you walk in to the unit, you first see quite a large landing space. This is probably where the reception area would be. This could be used as a boardroom or a meeting room. You've already got a table and chairs here, and then we can walk through to another room. This could be used as an office, or again, this could potentially be the main bedroom where we could store the residential tenants should we not be able to get the commercial tenant. And here is some storage space. You can also see the DB board. Each unit and each section will have its own DB board. And then finally, we come into the kitchen area. So you've got a small kitchen facility. If we were to go the residential route, we'd obviously have to invest a little bit more into putting a proper kitchen in place and maybe some nice built-in cupboards. But we first want to try out the commercial sector and see if we can't get a commercial tenant. And then at the back here, you've got some ablution facilities, some basic toilets, which again can be used either for residential commercial. The building is split between an east wing and a west wing. At each floor, we provide a kitchen service so that each commercial tenant can have a place to prepare their meals for the day. So as promised, here are the real numbers now that we finally gotten this deal across the line. We bought this property for a total of 7 million Rand. The market value, based on what the bank has told us they value the property at, is 11 million, meaning we got a 4 million Rand discount to market value. The transfer fees were only 50,000 Rand because we didn't buy the property. We bought the shares in the PTY, and the renovations are only 50,000 Rand because the building is in pristine condition. And then we've applied a 940,000 Rand sourcing fee. That's for my partner and I's time and effort for putting this deal together. Now, to finance this property, we put in zero of our own money, right? The bank was willing to loan us 70% to the offer price, meaning they were going to loan us 4.9 million at a 15% interest rate over 15 years, giving us a monthly bond repayment
of 68,500. For the rest of the cost, the rest of the deposit and the renovations and transfer fees, we refinanced 2 other buildings that we had already bought at auction 2 years ago, and we used that to pay off the deposit. So we effectively have no new money in this deal. On the cash flow, this property is generating 200,000 Rand in monthly revenue. We've used an 88% occupancy rate because of COVID and because commercial space tends to be a little bit harder to fill than residential. On the expenses side, we have a 15% monthly management fee, which includes our accounting services. We have 5% for maintenance, and then we have rates and taxes, insurance, water, refuge, security, cleaning, and electricity. From an escalation perspective, we used a conservative 3% capital growth rate, 8% rental escalation, and 5% cost inflation based on the weighted average lease agreement, or more commonly known as the whale assessment. 8% is a very fair rental escalation provision. Now, in summary, this deal is a high performer with a 27.5% internal rate of return, which is just out of this world, that you won't be able to get in the residential space very easily. But because this is commercial, has a fantastic gross yield, and we bought it at a massive discount, that kind of return is possible. The cash on cash return, or the net yield, is negative, and it's because we're highly geared, but we do have the other 2 buildings that are generating revenue, so we aren't having to fund any kind of shortfall in this company. The net present value, which is the sum of all future discounted cash flow, amounts to 17,600,000. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you got a sense of this building. It is a gem, and I highly doubt that I will get this kind of purchase price in Alberton anytime soon. So it's only been 2 months and this deal is still very new and very fresh. And it's nice to see 2 years worth of hardship, ups and downs, finally be rewarded with success. The reality is that success comes with perseverance, with consistency, with diligent action. Think of a baby that is learning to walk. The first time it tries, it obviously fails, and it fails many times after that. But through the encouragement and the empowering motivation from the parent, the child keeps trying and trying and trying. And after a few weeks or a few months, the child begins to walk, albeit stumbling and albeit a little bit slowly. But eventually that child turns into an adult that knows how to walk, and most adults know how to walk. So, great recipe to success is to keep trying until you get success, and that is proven with this deal. If we had given up when the going was tough, we wouldn't be sitting here today with this massive success. Now, if you want to get exposure to these kind of deals and you don't want to do it alone, consider joining my partnership program. That's where I take my money, your money, a few other people, we pull it together and we use our capital to go and buy an investment, and I do all the work. I find the deal, I manage the property, I make sure it's maintained, I do any evictions if needed, and you get a good return on your money. Currently, the minimum buy-in to get into this partnership is 500,000 Rand. I would love to make this more accessible and affordable, but right now, from an administrative perspective, I can't be taking on thousands of partners. So I've had to restrict the buy-in to a certain amount. If you want to know more, hit me up on my website. The link is in the comments.
My name is Lawrence Bull. I have a decade of experience in property investing, focusing on high-yielding residential and commercial properties. I partner with investors who have cash and want to leverage my exposure and experience to buy these kind of buildings. If that sounds interesting to you, click the link below